Well, hello. Don't see too many people here yet, but this isn't going the way I'd hoped to anyway, so I will probably tell this story a few times. So I'll tell you what's going on first. I, if I'm off today, this is why. This morning, a friend of mine had a medical emergency. We ended up calling the ambulance for him. Don't know what's wrong yet. And I just got back from that and realized that I'm starting to feel the come down of that rush of adrenaline. And so I am not at my best. Um, I like to prepare these things. I thought I'd have several hours this morning to prepare, and nope. So, but my friend comes first, and so that was my morning. Is my friend having a medical incident and being taken to the hospital? And some of you might know where I was. It is way out in the country, and no phone there, and I couldn't get a signal on this thing, and luckily somebody else that was there with us was able to get a signal and get the ambulance out there. But man, was that a scary morning. So if I'm off, that's why. So I actually thought about not doing this because I knew I would be very off, but I know what I'll be doing if I'm not doing this. I will be sitting there thinking about him and worrying about him. So I thought, I'll keep my phone nearby in case there's news, and then I might have to bail quickly. And if there's not news, then no news is good news, and I'm hoping to distract myself. So I see a lot of people here. I don't know if the chat shows up on the recording. I know sometimes it takes a couple hours to show up, but we've got Marie here from Michigan. We've got Barbara HP here, so glad to have you. ODE from Lisbon, and that's not Lisbon, North Dakota. There is a Lisbon in North Dakota. So welcome. Welcome to David Anderson. Main Man, welcome. And welcome Pamela Boxall and everybody else who's online. So I don't know if I'll probably tell that story again in a little bit so everybody knows why I'm off, but when I come down from a big adrenaline rush, I get shaky, and I am shaky right now. So maybe don't expect any writing in this video. And I get extremely thirsty. So I've got this glass of water here on the table beside me and another glass of water over there. And I may get up to get more water because, like I said, I get shaky and thirsty after an adrenaline rush. Welcome Sisyphus from beautiful San Diego, California. And Traditional Larry, welcome from New Jersey. All right, well, so this is the last video of the year. I was going to do a pens in use this week, and things came up, and it just didn't happen. A busy week, and so I decided to do this live stream since I haven't done one in December yet anyway. Welcome, Alessandro, 9 p.m. in Italy. So hopefully this is a decent time for everybody. 23 people watching now. So what I was originally going to do is I was going to do I had a Q&A set up. I was going to go through that and answer other questions. And I was going to have my questions all printed off, and I was going to have the answers printed with them. So I'd be, very prepared, and I am not for reasons that I just went into. And like I said, I might explain that again for people joining late. I'm in I guess it's gray now, but very sparkly North Dakota because I woke up to fog that had frozen onto everything. And the fog is, it's lifted off the ground. It's still up in the air in cloud form. So it's very sparkly out there right now. Like a Bennu pen. There we go. We'll fit fountain pens into it. Happy New Year to you too. It's funny to think some parts of the world, it's already the new year, but not my part of the world. It's about 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon here. Yes, like I said, I don't know what's wrong, and, it was a very scary situation when somebody just suddenly, out of nowhere, just goes totally unresponsive. No, it did not snow on Christmas Day. We had a brown Christmas. There is snow hanging around out there, but not, a lot of snow. Some parts of the state got snow, but not us. We're down in the banana belt of North Dakota. So I'm going to jump to my Q&A. So I only have one screen running all this. So I'm going to have to go from you guys to the Q&A and back and forth. So this will get awkward, but so if I ignore your comment for a few minutes, that might be why. So I'm going to go to my Q&A screen where I have all my questions. Because like I said, I was going to print them, but that did not happen. So the first question I have, and they didn't give a name, is why do you prefer old used pens to new pens? I have a very good answer for that. Actually, two answers, I think. One of them is price. Basically, I can get a really good used pen a lot cheaper than I can get a very good new pen, which relates to one of the other questions because I was going to kind of group them, but we're doing this spontaneously, so I guess I'm not grouping them. But that's one of the reasons, price, honestly. Now, you can find some very expensive used pens if you want to. I once, there was no way I was ever going to buy it, but I once salivated over a $5,000 Mont Blanc pen that it was so beautiful. And nope, that's a few $1,000s out of my budget, even with YouTube income. So the other reason I like the used pens is the character. When you've got an old used pen like this, somebody else owned this. Maybe they have their name on it. This one does not. It just has the brand name. But somebody used it before you. You always wonder, how did it get here? I have some pens that spent the time since the Nazis took over their country through the entire communist era till when descendants of the original owner decided to do some remodeling, found them behind the wall. So they hid for, what would that be? 40s, yeah, 70, 80 years. They spent hidden in the wall, first from Nazis and then from communists. So, most pens don't have that dramatic of a story, but, they, I have one that does have a dramatic story like that. Marie, I want to buy my first good used vintage pens. What would you recommend for my first used? Actually, Esterbrook J. Those are very nice. You can find them at a low cost. They're reliable. If there's something wrong with them, they're easy to fix. The parts are out there. There's a humongous variety of nibs. Another one that's very easy to find is a Parker 51. If you want to go older, there's some Waterman pens that are quite common. The name is escaping me at the moment, but and just look at the description. Some people have no idea. I've got a pen. I found it in my grandpa's drawer. I'm going to try and sell it, see if anybody will pay me money. And others that know what, they'll describe it needs its sack replaced or whatever. Although for your first one, you probably want one that works. But replacing a sack is very easy. That's one of the videos I was hoping to get to this week, but you wouldn't think I'd be so busy during a break, but I am. All right, so let's jump to my next question. Do you keep a monthly budget for your fountain pens? If yes, how much is it? So I don't have a monthly budget because I don't buy pens every month. I buy pens when one catches my eye. I have an overall, and I don't like to be specific, I have an overall budget. I'm a little freer because any of my YouTube advertising money I will spend on the channel. I don't spend it on things for me. So I've got a decent camera. I've got a good microphone. I've got nice lights. So I bought some very nice pens with that. But, my teaching income, most of those nice pens wouldn't be a thing because I could not justify them. Okay. And you've only had 2 minor snowfalls. Yeah, we I oh, sorry. Yeah, you live near where I used to live, actually. Because I lived on the northern tier of Pennsylvania. And yeah, you should have snow by now. But same with us. We had a decent storm, what was it, a month ago? And some ice here, but not really much. Definitely not compared to last year. How many snow days did we have from school before Christmas break even started? In fact, Christmas break started early last year because of all the snow. So anyway, so for all the people joining, I am doing my Q&A, but I'm not at my best because a friend of mine had a medical emergency this morning, and I just got back from that, and I don't have any of my stuff set up. I was going to have several hours to go through the questions and organize them and write, and yeah, don't have any of it done. So this is just going to have to go as it is. So I'm doing it spontaneously, and I hate flying by the seat of my pants, but that's what's happening. And like I said, I know that if I wasn't doing this, I'd be thinking about my friend. Yeah. So do I keep the boxes for the pens? I sorta. Like I bought this cross pen, and yeah, I just kicked the box out of the way when I sat down here. I'm not going to keep the box because it's a cheap, you know, $14 pen. And I mean, if I'm not going to try and sell this pen, I'm just going to give it away if I change my mind about it and decide I don't like it after all. For my nicer pens, I do tend to keep the boxes. I recently sold a Pelikan M800. It didn't come in a very great box, but my Pelikan M1000 did, so I sold it in the Pelikan M1000 box. So for those pens, I'll keep the box, and I just, the Platinum Azumo came in a nice bamboo box, and just like, throw it away, keep it. I don't know. So I've kept it. So I have some boxes, and I'll keep a few boxes for just selling pens, or if I give pens as a gift. I gave two fountain pens away as a gift over the holidays, so they both went in not their original boxes because I don't even know if I kept their original boxes, but so they had little gift boxes. I think ours is frozen on the surface, just not very deep. The road where I was today is quite rutted, so because it's not a paved road. So yeah, it's starting to freeze finally, but we've had too many days in the 40s lately. Just a weird winter, especially compared to last winter. Let's see. Sathish Rao asks, I hope I said that right. Do you and other reviewers really and honestly feel the wow factor with those ultra expensive Italian pens compared to fairly less expensive pens like your, oh boy, sorry, I had to switch to the part at the top of the screen where it's really small, like your Wanderlust, which are both gorgeous and good writers. So I wondered that too. I can't speak for other reviewers, and I don't have a lot of really high end pens. Some reviewers are able to get them on loan. So, they'll have the loan of a Visconti Homo sapiens when Visconti releases a new model. And, they'll write with it for a while, review it, and then send it back. And then it gets sent on to some other reviewer. I'm not in that. My channel is old pens mostly, or weird North Dakota stuff. So I don't have that. I have, so yeah, I am wowed. I remember, oh, what was it? It was a stipula anyway. Stipula, if I would have had time this morning to prepare, I'd have this written down. But a stipula anyway, I bought that was on the expensive side, and opened the box and wow. And then I tried writing with it and it sucked. So I've had that feeling before. That's always fun. So anyway, oh yeah, that actually is a good idea. Um, I actually got my very first vintage pens from Proto Pens. Um, I forget what they were called back there, but it's a website that sells mostly vintage pens. Okay, and Paul Herman agrees with me. TJ Archivist, welcome. Um, I don't know. When I was younger, I tried the New Year's celebration thing. I haven't done it in the last few years. I think I've turned old and boring. I'm in my 40s now, so that's probably it. I will probably be asleep when the year changes. Um, Somebody who didn't give a name, favorite eBay or anywhere online find, best deal. Hmm. I think my favorite, I mean, I have some wonderful pens I bought used all over, but I think the best pen I ever found was a used Aurora 88. That pen is, I mean, a vintage Aurora 88 from like the 40s or 50s. That is such a wonderful pen. I still makes me smile to write with it. So I think that's probably my favorite find. Best deal, hard to say. Um, yeah, some of us are just born old and boring. Just kind of how we are. Ink guy, welcome. Uh, just doing my Q&A that I had on my channel for a while, going through the questions, and uh, I'll let you all rewatch the videos. But I had a situation this morning and wasn't able to compile my answers like I'd planned on. I scheduled into my day several hours of preparing for this and grocery shopping and things that just have not happened. And I literally went from situation to here. So, but you're all keeping me company, so I'm not sitting here thinking about the situation. Let's see. Former student, why have you decided to stay in this small town for so long? Good question. So, I will tell you something, former student. When you're young, you're pretty free. I moved around several times, and as you get older, you make more connections, and you start to do things like buy a house, and you find you're a lot less free. You also tend to accumulate more stuff. So if I move, I have a lot more stuff to move out of this house than I had when I moved into this house. Um, I think it could all still fit in a U-Haul, but that's the other thing. The U-Haul is the process of moving is very expensive. So if I move, I've always said, if I were to take a new job, for example, that job had better offer an improvement to my situation, a real improvement, not, oh, yeah, we pay about $100 more on our base than your school does. Um, so it's got to be some real improvement either to income or to what I'm teaching or to my living situation. I have thought, so okay, talking about my friend, which I wasn't going to do, but this is a perfect illustration. As we get older, my friend is 70. Medical concerns become more of a concern. And that might be a reason for me to move down the road because, yes, we have a hospital in town. Basically, it's an emergency room and takes care of a old folks' home. It's not a real hospital. So anything serious, I have to get taken somewhere else. A lady I know, and I'm going to say I know because just somebody I knew, was recently very badly burned, and they had to take her all the way to Minneapolis. So that could be something that would make me move. But yeah, it's just as you get older, it gets harder to move. You've got your friends, you got your house, you're kind of locked in, and yeah, so that's why I've stayed. It just kind of grows on you like fungus, and you put down roots, whether you mean to or not. And if I had kids, then I would be even more locked in here. Um, yeah, we got a few people here. It's kind of exciting. All right, let's hit another question. Ooh, whoops. I almost made my questions disappear. Um, as a scientist, what do you think about cloud seeding and chemtrails? Have you been to the North Dakota Weather Modification Project website? So my degree is in physics. I think it's really important not to give scientific opinions, outside your wheelhouse. So I'll just give you the short version. Cloud seeding is where they, you know, put little condensation nuclei basically up there to form rain. The reason they've done it around where I live is they're trying to modify the weather and prevent severe thunderstorms. I don't know. I've lived here 17 years. I've had hail, but no damaging hail, so maybe it's working. Um, I Chemtrails, as far as I know, are not a thing. Wow, I just heard either a gunshot or an explosion. I don't know what that was. Rural area, maybe somebody's out hunting. Um, where was I? Anyway, I've looked a little bit at the research just so I would know. I don't think I'm qualified to say whether it's a good thing or not. So yeah, I okay, must be a gunshot there. It just went again. Anyway, I respect oh, I forget his name. There's a guy, not Carl Sagan. He's like the new Carl Sagan. And his name has just slipped my brain. Holy cow, he even redid the show Cosmos that Carl Sagan did. Neil deGrasse Tyson. So anyway, there were some okay alien bodies that were recovered in Peru and shown to the Mexican Congress. Don't know why, but anyway, he was invited to go look at them, and he's like, "Why would I look at them? I'm an astrophysicist. Get a biologist, paleontologist, um, archaeologist. So yeah, you got to stay in your area." Oh, firework. Okay, fireworks. That is a good idea. Yes, that could be. It's a little early for fireworks, but maybe if they're just the bangy kind, then they're letting them off. Miss Marilyn Darling is here. Welcome. I was in the process of watching your video this morning before I left. Um, your one about where you're going through your pen collection, so I'm hoping to finish that. Happy New Year to you too. Oh yeah, yeah. Some places like here it's weather mod, but other places it's been used to to cause rain. Yep, the fire could be fireworks. And yeah, I didn't even think of that. So you know, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there are a few let off once it gets dark here. Right now, it's getting dark around 4. I don't know if we're celebrities, but glad to have everybody here. We've got 33 people here. Oops, I almost hit the wrong button. I almost hit the end stream button. Did not mean to hit that one. Okay. Um, Going back to my Q&A, Gary says, today, what would you tell your 14-year-old self? Okay, so honestly, my 14-year-old self wouldn't listen because my 14-year-old self is quite different. The biggest thing I'd say for somebody young and me is just be ready for changes in your life, in your views, in everything about you. You'll get bigger in a lot of directions. You'll do things that as a younger self you'd never believe you would do. And, just be open to change and the opportunities that are out there. I wouldn't even say don't move to North Dakota because you know why I moved to North Dakota? It was an adventure. And still on that adventure. That's what everybody does for an adventure, right? They go to North Dakota. Sisyphus, have I purchased any new inks lately? Nope. I have been good boy. The only thing I purchased is I had to replace my Parker Quink washable blue again. That's the only ink I have purchased this year or in the last few years. I have been a good boy. And I am slowly using up bottles. And when I gave 2 fountain pens away as Christmas presents, I gave away 2 bottles of ink with them. So, slowly whittling the ink collection down. I'm almost out of my Pelikan Edelstein Onyx, ready to move on to another black ink. How did I get so many black inks? Don't know. Okay, so Nelson has several questions here in a row. In addition to fountain pens, what other writing instruments do you use? Could you give examples, models, or brands? If I use, I'll pick up a ballpoint if I have to. But the other thing I specifically use is I like the yellow #2 pencils. I have a whole box of here's a box in here. There we go. All right. So, kind of a messy drawer. I need to sort. Found this while I was in that drawer. But anyway, to answer the question, so this is Tombow pencils. I really like these. So I really like them. I also really enjoy these Staedtler Rally pencils. I have a whole big, huge box of these at school because I use these more at school than I do at home. Close that drawer before somebody sees it. So I have a small house, and I have this tendency when I'm busy to let things go, basically tidying up. And I'm at that point. I've started tidying up, but I'm not done. And of course, somebody knocked on my door yesterday. Okay. And TJ Archivist must be a user of Waterman Black. All right, so that's that question. I don't really use ballpoints except, just if I happen to grab one. I've seen you comment on e-readers and other e-ink devices. Can you talk more about the models you have and how you integrate them in okay, your reading working routine? Okay. Go back to me for a minute. So this was in my few minutes of flying around once I got home from everything. I did notice that question, so I grabbed the e-ink devices. So one of them, the first one I bought was this. It's a Books, I think it's called a Books Note Air. Let's see if it'll turn on. Nope. I've been, since I discovered reading glasses, I haven't been reading on e-ink too much, but I had transitioned to pretty much only reading on e-ink because I could make the font big. And so I haven't used this as much since then, but because I've got this stack of books here beside my desk because I've read them all, and it's just been like a gift discovering these reading glasses. So yeah, but anyway, this I like. It has for reading especially, I have the Kindle app on it and the Nook app, so I have both. I have Evernote on it, so I have used it for Evernote. I have a lot of apps. I demonstrated to a student who was asking about it that I could even go on the internet with it. And I went to Instagram. And by the way, thank you to one of the people who I follow on Instagram for deciding on that day to post a picture of yourself in a Speedo. So that was very embarrassing for that to be the picture that pops up as the very first picture on my Instagram feed. So thank you. But anyway, I have not used this very much since getting my reading glasses. I was able to purchase a keyboard with it. I didn't end up using it much. And now, the one I use daily, over here, whoops, I have a Remarkable tablet. And I use this as my planner. This is all my notebooks. Excuse me, my sometimes rough drafter thingy. I love this thing. Okay, and I'm going to do it this way. And I splurged course, I can't do this one right when I want to. There it goes. Okay. Usually I do not struggle like that, but apparently when I perform for video, I do. I even bought the keypad cover for it, which I wasn't sure if I'd use it much, and I use it. Okay, I don't use it huge, lots and lots, but I use it weekly. So, yeah, very wonderful thing. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Okay, private reserve. People have recommended that one to me, so I might have to try it. Yes, Parker Quink Black is nice. I don't have the vintage. I have just the new kind, and I might not right now because I think I used that bottle up. But yeah, so after I use up all my bottles of black ink, I'll have to decide what to use as my black. Okay, my microfilm black and my daily everyday carry. So I have a backpack from, it's actually a Baron Fig backpack that I take to school every day. It has a laptop thingy on one side of it, so I can bring my work machine home if I need to. And then I carry, the Remarkable tablet goes in it. I have a folder for each of my classes that I teach. So if I have papers I need to bring home, that they will go in their appropriate folder. And I'll just lay the folder on my desk for turning stuff in, and then I put it back in the bag, and that way I don't lose student papers, which has always been one of my fears. So, a little story from 7th grade. I got in trouble for not doing homework. Turned out the teacher had lost it, but he didn't find it till after I'd had to serve what they called homework detention. And then he found it, and no apology or anything. So I've held a grudge since 7th grade over that. I never liked that teacher anyway. He was an asshole. Anyway, moving on. The problem with most black inks is they don't completely absorb into the paper, leaving them with either a bump that is smearable. Oh, okay. Yeah, I noticed that with the Noodler's black, because that used to be what I used, is it wouldn't go soak in or dry quickly. It also didn't cooperate with my then new Pilot Custom 823. It would just, the bubbles would form at the bottom and they wouldn't rise up, and then it would dry up. And I'm like, how's this expensive pen drying up? Well, it's the ink. Just too thick. Okay, diamine is supposed to be pretty good. I like the diamine inks I have. So, okay, let's see what else we've got here. We often talk about fountain. This is still from that same person. We often talk about fountain pen storage and carrying cases, but what about the rest of the stationery? What do you use to carry the rest of your... Okay, so the question I just answered. Backpack. That's what I use. It's nice. I used to use a messenger bag. I just found the backpack is just easier to walk around with. I was at Bismarck for a couple days with students. I used that same backpack everywhere I went. It's just out of the way, not swinging around or bothering anybody. How many senators do you have? 2. Sorry, that was a joke. What can you say about the brand and your opinions on it? I don't know how many senators I have. A lot. And if I would have had my morning without disasters, I would have had time to find out how many I have. But a lot. I like them. I think they were very well made. I have some relatively newish ones, very well made. I don't know what the current pens are like, because Senator still is in business. They still make pens. They just don't make the nice fountain pens like they used to. Mostly what they do is clicky ballpoint pens that you can put different kind of branding on. So like if you're Ford and you want to give away a Ford pen to everybody, you just buy a bunch of pens from Senator and have Ford stamped on them. So that's what they're used for. Oops. Yeah, I use that one. I don't use that one, but I use platinum. Shoot, what's it called? Platinum carbon ink, because it, doesn't evaporate. I'm sorry, it doesn't smear in the rain. Although lately I started typing my addresses onto the envelopes because, typewriters, and why if I never thought of doing this before. And yeah, so that's what I've been using lately as a typewriter. Okay, let's see what else we got here. What, what, why are you not married with kids? You seem alone. Can you elaborate on that? Because I haven't met somebody that I wanted to marry and have kids with. I don't feel alone. I have friends. This, I came into this video kind of upset because of a medical condition one of my friends had this morning, and I'm connected to people, and I like life, and now I'm kind of used to living on my own. So she better be able to adapt to me if because I'm going to have to adapt a lot too if I ever decide to get married. Where do you get all these obscure vintage pens? From Tess. I get them, a lot of them on eBay now. Etsy sometimes, eBay. There's a couple sellers. In fact, this one poor seller has emailed me a bunch of times because they're in the Czech Republic. And apparently the Czech Republic, the Postal Service went on strike just as they mailed the pens to me. So I got a lot of updates on the Czech Republic Postal Service strike. But anyway, the pens arrived this week, so I'm happy. I said nice things to them about them on eBay. Australia's here. Welcome. Oh, and I got a correction. Carbon black is what it's called. That platinum ink is called. And, I have never used that one. I don't know why. I've used a lot of different inks. In fact, at one point, it was the year the Black Lives Matter protests really started. And in fact, it was the first, is when Juneteenth became a holiday. I did a special pens in use for Juneteenth where I inked up 15 different pens with my 15 different black inks. And then that fall, I went to school and found another brand of black ink in my desk drawer. So I missed one. But yeah, even so, that's one I've never used. And who needs that many bottles of black ink? I'm embarrassed by how many ink bottles I have accumulated since I got in this hobby, because I've been buying ink bottles since long before I started making a YouTube thing out of it. Buying pens since long before I started making a YouTube thing out of it. And then one day I just looked at my ink collection and said, oh my God, how did this happen? Oh, good. I enjoy your videos. So I'm hardly ever able to join live, except maybe in the summer once in a while, but I do watch them. So glad you're continuing. All right, let's see if I've got another question here. Given our particular hands and grip, there is a perfect combination of pen dimensions, weight, balance, nib size feeder that make the writing with a heavenly experience. That perfect combination will make a TWSBI Vac Mini, as an example, a writing Grail pen rather than a Namiki Emperor. What are the variables that make a perfect pen for you? That's one I think I wish I would have had time. I wish I would have had time to prepare for that one, because oh boy, I'm not so fussy about my pens. I have skinny pens, fat pens. I have discovered that some pens are too fat. The most controversial video I did recently was about a Jinhao, was it 159X? That has the size number 8 nib on it. And previously, when I reviewed the Jinhao 159, both times I remarked that this pen is just kind of too girthy. And so apparently there is an upper size limit. I used to own a Lamy Dialogue 3. Love it from an engineering perspective. Love its appearance. I enjoyed the nib on it. I didn't enjoy the pen because it was just too girthy, so I sold it. Yet I like my Pelikan M1000. There's something about the shape of that that's right. But yeah, I'm all over the place. I yeah, I own a Visconti Homo sapiens. I like favorite Italian fountain pen. Uh, is it? Am I going to get in trouble if I don't say Visconti Homo sapiens? Vintage Aurora 88 is my favorite Italian fountain pen. I own a new, no, I own two modern Aurora 88s, but the vintage one is what I love. Let's see what else I've got. So from Una, I have a really long question. Hi, Jason. If you had to teach a subject other than science, what would it be and why? Um, if I could do my life over, I think I'd enjoy being a computer science teacher. I am a math teacher. I don't teach math very often anymore. I used to regularly teach a couple math classes. Um, with the teacher shortage going on, I may end up teaching math again. Um, yeah, that's a whole situation right now at my school. We'll not go there because it's a school problem, not a YouTube problem. But anyway, yeah, we've got. I can teach math and any science. My degree is physics. I've started to add. There's a couple computer science classes I can teach, and I'm able to cheat a little because I teach two classes called STEM. One's junior high, one's high school, and so I work computer programming into those two with my electronics. So through my courses, my computer science course that I teach is Java. My high school STEM uses Python, or I'm sorry, robotics in high school STEM uses Python. So there's another one. But then I use Arduinos in there, and those are programmed with C. So I get to teach three different computer programming languages. Second question. Oh boy, I think I better put on my glasses for this one because this is a long one. How have you as a scientist dealt with students and especially their parents who maintain, despite all evidence to the contrary, that COVID isn't real and safety protocols are unnecessary? They keep going here. Has COVID been the most significant challenge you faced as a teacher? On a personal note, okay, that's just a message to me. So we'll just not read that one. But so the best clue I have for you is don't get into an argument. When somebody says COVID is fake, don't get into an argument. You're not going to win that argument. You can show them science till you're blue in the face. Won't change anything. COVID's fake. You're just a liberal. Don't bother. um, we required them to follow the protocols at school. It was very hard to enforce. The mask thing was miserable that whole time we were wearing masks because so many were not wearing them right. And they would become chin straps. And it's like, yeah, no, sure, nobody liked wearing them. I didn't. And on that note, I bought squirrel masks for myself. So a couple of times I would put them on the channel, and I did a couple thumbnails wearing them. And every time I was guaranteed to get some comment about it that was nasty. And I'm just like, it's a cool squirrel mask. That's all I'm doing. I'm here at home alone. I don't wear my mask at home alone. But actually, I did for a week. I had a really bad allergic reaction the fall we were in masks. And allergic, like I react to pollen and things. And they're not too much in North Dakota, but if I ever move back east, something to think about. But anyway, something was in the air one week, and I was just stuffy as heck. And got to school, put on my mask, and by lunchtime I was all cleared up. Took it off to eat lunch, started stuffing up again. Put the mask on for the afternoon classes, cleared up again. So I spent a week there wearing my mask at home and sleeping in it. And yeah, it filtered out the pollen. So that was interesting. So I think if that comes up again, I will keep a couple of my squirrel masks around. Auroras are awesome. Yes. Yeah, I have to be careful there. If I talk about school, like At one time there was a video on the channel where I showed everybody around my school. I ended up hiding the video. May There was a school shooting, and I just thought, "Here's a guided tour of our school." Not a school shooting here, but there were, 3 firearms incidents in schools around my school. I just thought, "Yeah, I don't want something to happen and the shooter say, 'Well, I just watched this Wasky Squirrel channel and I knew right where to go.'" So, I hid that one. And you have to be really careful about privacy with students. Like, there's a lot of stories that you just can't tell. When there's enough time, you can sort of tell them anonymously, but like something that's happened this year, I can't tell you. I don't even really want to get into it vaguely because anybody from here that hears that story will be, "Oh yeah, that was Beaver Cleaver that happened to." So you have to be very careful, and that is one of my passions. So part of this YouTube thing is also getting away from school. Like I forced myself to go on here today despite what happened this morning, and I am feeling a lot better now, as thanks to all of you and thinking about things besides my friend. So yeah, I will probably talk more about school life. I just there are some YouTube channels where they do, but again, you got to be careful of that privacy line. Yes. Um, um, Sorry, I saw this line and it reminded me of something when I was a new teacher, my very first year teaching. So now I'm going to tell a little teaching story. I had a student that argued with me constantly, just over anything. And like an idiot, I thought, she will see reason. No, they don't. So the English teacher, who is much more experienced than me, says to me, "Jason, never wrestle with a pig. You just get dirty and the pig enjoys it." She had a more agricultural background. But anyway, something I've always remembered, kids will try it. And I'll be like, "Well, we can talk about that after class." You don't get in arguments with them. And there were people looking to start fights with this whole COVID thing. We had parents would come in. "What are you going to do if I take my mask off?" Not really my problem. And yeah. So, okay, moving on. Okay, so this one's from ODE. So, you enjoy some much lesser known European pen brands. Oops. You also show us many tours around your state. Do you have plans to make some tours in Europe someday? Someday. Europe is a little bit more expensive, but someday I'd like to go to Europe. There's several places. Portugal is actually one of them. I think it might have been in Lisbon. There was a neat trolley service that was going up and down these streets late at night, and what seemed like a very high rate of speed. There's an island there. I forget what it's called, but they collect rainwater in the north where it comes in off the Atlantic Ocean. Then they have a whole system of like these canal things to take it to the much drier part down in the south of this island. And I've always wanted to see that. Outside there, there's parts of Scotland I'd like to see. I'd love to see Finland. Anywhere in the Nordic countries, I think, would make me happy. There are some very cool islands north of Denmark I would love to see. I'm Polish, so I suppose Poland should be on my list. I used to say there were some cool things I wanted to see in Russia, but right now I don't think as an American I would go to Russia. Italy has some very interesting history I'd love to see. I actually think I'd love to go see some of these small towns and, not even hit the big tourist spots. So, but yeah, I'd love to go to Europe someday. Um, Little known fact about you. I'll have to come back to that one. That's from Gregory at Pensane. Um, oh, a little bit of snow coming down outside now. um, yeah, I'll have to come back to a little known fact about me. Again, I didn't prepare today like I had planned. Let's see. I remember that. I took differential equations. That was the semester I changed my mind, although it wasn't differential. No, it was the semester after I changed my mind. So I actually started college to be a math major because I was going to be a math teacher, and then sophomore year I just changed my mind and decided I wanted to be a physics teacher. But for physics, I still needed a lot of the math I needed as a math teacher. So yeah, I took ordinary differential equations spring of my sophomore year. Worst grade I ever got in college was that course. Um, okay, so I was talking about Madeira. Thank you, if I'm saying that right. Yeah, you can't win those stupid arguments. There's no reason to bother trying. And it doesn't matter what it's about. Like kids will always, during election season. So I know this will be coming up next year. They'll always ask me who I'm voting for president, and you know, some of them will be like, yeah, some will be like, ugh, and why put that obstacle in my way? So I just say, oh, I don't talk about politics with students. Saves me a lot of trouble. A couple years ago, we had this whole stupid controversy over Common Core standards. And a lot of it was people who had no idea what standards were, arguing things that weren't even in the standards. And I was teaching Algebra 1 that year, and this mother emailed me a long email about, all the things wrong with Common Core and, what's your opinion on it? And I just emailed back nicely, I don't get into political art discussions with parents. Just sidestep the whole thing because why? You're not going to win, and you might piss them off, and then the situation blows up because some parents are just eager to come into the school and raise a ruckus. So avoid the situation if you can. Um, any modern pens that, okay. Oh, this is from Miss Marilyn Darling. Do you know any modern pens that have a blind cap that can be used to get at the knob end of a modern converter, preferably that are acrylic or plastic, not wood, metal, or wood, and preferably with a number 6 nib unit? Thanks so much. I know the Noodler's Conrad. They have some acrylic pens that are like that. Trying to think, the Delta used to make one, but Delta is no longer a thing. Again, a question I probably could have researched if I wouldn't have had the morning I had. So that's the best answer you're going to get, I'm afraid. Okay. Yeah, the Conrad was actually kind of my reintroduction into fountain pens. I had used my Parker Vector for many years. I'd used Parker Frontier, and I had a cross pen that I used for many years. And then one day I was thinking, you're in your 30s, you're responsible, you have always wanted a pen that has a built-in filling mechanism. I wonder if there's one out there. And that the Conrad had not come out, but he was doing videos about it. But the Noodler's Nib Creeper was out, and so I bought way too many of them. Delta DV, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Delta did come back. You're right. I forgot about that. Capture converter. Yeah, that might be a good thing to look for. Okay, and see, those are some brands. See, I don't know Myra and Leonardo pens at all. I've never used one. Yeah, actually, on the topic of the Conrad, I mentioned about that horrible sinking feeling I had with the stipula, and So that nib that would not write in the stipulant, I can't get any nib to write in that pen, even with the feed and nib changed. But that nib writes beautifully in a Noodler's Conrad. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I've been keeping an eye. If I'm going to get a call or a text, and so far there's been nothing. Um, so for those of you who were wondering, I short version, you can rewatch the whole video later. But I had a friend who had a medical incident this morning. We ended up calling the ambulance for him, and that's such a helpless feeling while you're waiting for the ambulance. And of course, we're way out in the country where this happened. There's almost no cell service. I couldn't even call 911 with my phone. Somebody else was able to get enough of a signal to call 911. And yeah, and then you're just sitting there like nothing you can do except wait. And that's just such a helpless feeling. So then we, after the ambulance took him away, we took his car back to his house, let his dog out. And dog's like, okay, who are these strangers? And supposed to let the dog out to go to the bathroom, but she wasn't having it. So I hope the worst that comes out of this is he goes home to a wet spot on the floor, because it was scary this morning. Okay, italics. See, that's another. I've used one italics pen in my life. Parsons something, can't remember its name. Life and pen wishes for 2024. Life wish is a new roof on the house. Pen wishes, don't really have any pen wishes right now. Just enjoying the ones I have. And right now I've got a typewriter sitting on my kitchen table that I'm trying to repair. Very old one. I'll have to show that to you sometime. Okay, yeah, that would fit. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, like I said, part of why I decided to come on and do this anyways. If I wasn't, I would be sitting over there on the couch not doing anything, because I just keep thinking about what's wrong, because there's no news. Okay, let's see. What's in the wooden boxes on top of your bookshelf? Alternatively, why are you using your giveaway to trick people into wanting to live in North Dakota? From Sylvie. So the boxes, I guess there's just one now. I know the boxes they mean. So if you remember, the channel used to have two boxes up there. This is an old chemistry. This one here is an old chemistry set, and the other one was a microscope box. The microscope box was always empty. My plan was always to put little shelves in it and make it into a pen storage case. That never happened. It's currently in my basement. This box is full of ink. So this is kind of my favorite inks. They're not in bottles, so that's why I kept them out of the light. And lately my thing has been, let's use up bottles of ink. So I've been focusing on just certain colors and just using those to have some victories. And yes, one more ink gone. So yeah, it's full of ink. Plus this shelf of ink here. That drawer I opened earlier in the video, I had ink in the drawer below that. No ink in that drawer, though. And then I have a box of ink in the basement. So I have a lot of ink. So, yeah, working, getting it down. It's just taking a long time. Someday. Never shoot yourself in the foot while it's in your mouth. Yes, that is a good one. Okay, let's see. What's this next question? Do you have no name given here? Do you have desk pens or home pens that don't leave the house? How do you use these pens differently compared to traveling pens? So I don't really have desk pens, but I do have pens that don't leave the house. Basically, it's my really expensive ones. So my physics class actually talked me into bringing them to school one day. So they have now left the house once. Yeah, but I don't use them any differently, other than the fact that instead of sitting in their pen case, they sit in their little, well, they each have a little sleeve that they sit in when I'm not writing with them. So I store them more carefully. Let's just say that. Um, you tell some stories from your childhood. Um, I might have to get my parents' permission to tell a few of those, so I'll have to think about that one. Again, if I'd had my planned time this morning. If you could only have 3 fountain pens, which would you choose? Um, I want my vintage Aurora 88. I want my Lamy 2000. Hmm. I don't know, something maybe, I want to hit something different. So maybe one of my stuff, maybe I'll keep my Platinum Azumo since I spent so much money on it. And it's got, a broad cursive italic nib. Have you ever rescued a pen from being destroyed, fixed it, and it works? I don't think I've rescued one from being destroyed. I have rescued them, there was one I found in an antique store. The nib is just, or sorry, not the nib, the sack was all cracked and hard, and the pen was just filthy, and I'm sure it would have stayed there for a long time, and I rescued it. So that'll be a video one of these days. Okay. Ooh, here's a long one about using up ink. So, for a time you were working on using up your inks bottle by bottle, starting with the smaller Roshizuku bottles. I don't think there's been much of an update besides you getting bored of those inks and moving on. Can you elaborate on this? Thanks. So I did kind of answer that, but the short version is I decided to make it a wider selection that I'm using bottle by bottle, and that way I get that variety I crave, and yet still that focus on getting rid of inks. I don't have too many small bottles of ink left, so they're larger targets now that I'm using up, like Noodler's bottles and things. So it's slower going to use up a bottle, but I have slowly used up bottles. I also got told by several pen pals, please never use Lamy Mango again. So I might just give that one up. Keep the bottle because I like the Lamy ink bottles. Yeah, here's a few more people commenting on ink. I don't think I'm up to 200 bottles. I'm too scared to count, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. But I do have too many. Yeah, I have a lot of ink. And if somebody named an ink guy is saying I have a lot of ink, that's saying something. Okay, 75 of the ink vent alone. Oh, wow, yeah. So I've never gotten into ink vent. I did used to use Goulet pens. Used to do this thing where they'd send sample bottles out. Not bottles, sample vials, like this kind of thing, and that was kind of fun. But then I started. It was like I was using them out of guilt because I'd be like, "Oh, I don't want to use this pink ink," and oh, but it's here. I gotta use it, and yeah, I do have a lot of samples. Years ago, someone sent me a whole bunch of what's the brand now? Krishna inks. I've slowly worked my way through the samples, but I still have a lot to go. It's just kind of amazing. Oh, well, Hodge, welcome. We'll see how New Year's goes. I always I don't stay up for the New Year, so it's gonna happen without me. Yeah, if you have 400 samples, I'm sure you could send me some. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I have that many bottles, honestly. Oh, actually, I was going to show one other thing before being busy interrupted my pens and use plan. I bought myself something I'm going to try. So you're all going to see it as I see it. Oops. So this is, if you can't read that, it says 10-year diary. So I might provide a better look at that next week. But anyway, it's a nice hardcover thing. I'll be able to tell you next week how fountain pen friendly the paper is. I bought this from Jet Pens, and I don't remember the brand, but it's a Japanese. Oh, there we go, Midori. So it probably is good paper. But anyway, what it has, there's a prologue space where you can put, for the year 2024, and put whatever you want to say at the beginning of the year. And then each set of pages, like here is January 15th, 10 entries for January 15th. The next page is 10 entries for January 16th, and so on. And then at the end, there's an epilogue. Again, a space for each year. So I'll be able to, I guess, set goals at the beginning of the year. We'll find out tomorrow what I do with the prologue. And then at the end of the year, I guess I can reflect back or whatever. So I thought it'd be interesting, because then 10 years from now, I will be 58. Now I've told you my age. And I can retire at 60. So I will be at a very different point in my life. So it might be interesting then to look back at what 48-year-old me was doing versus what 58-year-old me is doing. So anyway, that's going to be something new. Not recently. I love undated planners. Yeah, that's actually what I used to use. Is I used a Midori traveling notebook for many years as my planner. Originally, I had bought who sold it? Somebody had an academic planner I always used, because the teacher year isn't ending right now. The teacher year, I'm in the middle of it. So an academic planner usually went from like July to June instead of January to December. So then it wasn't broken up during the school year. So then I was able to make my Midori. So I had an academic planner in it, basically, because whatever company it was quit making academic planners. But since I got that remarkable tablet, it has become my planner, along with my many, many notebooks and all those things. So yeah. Good question. I'm hoping that the ink collection by then will be just what you see behind me. At the rate I'm going, I'm afraid it won't be, but that's my hope, is that it'll just be that. Because yeah, I have too much ink. And I don't like thinking about having too much ink. I just want enough ink to have variety, and not so much that I'm worried that the next generation is going to have to use up the ink for me. Oh, that's a good point. So I might have to buy a bottle of archival ink. I think Detrimentus makes one. Not sure who else makes one. Probably Diamine makes one. Yes, you are exactly right. That's why when I bought those Iroshizuku inks, that's actually why I bought the smaller bottles instead of the big bottles, because I saw myself heading in that direction, but I hadn't quite realized how far I was going to get down that direction. I don't have a wife, so there is that. I'm not sure where that question came from. I think that they were making a joke about, that old joke about, in a debate, the politician says, "When did you stop beating your wife?" And there's no real good answer to that. Noodler. Oh yeah, so you're right. Noodler's does have several bulletproof inks. I own several Noodler's bulletproof inks in my vast collection of ink. Diamine registrars. Oh, okay. All right, I'll have to look at that one. Yeah, it is sexist. I'm not sure where the question came from. I think that's what they were referencing. I just don't know. But anyway, Alrighty. So, I see I've been doing this for an hour yet. Um, Nothing on here yet, but anyway, I think this is a good place to close it up. I Okay, see, I wasn't sure. Could be a troll, could be somebody telling a joke. I really don't know. So anyway, I they sure did sour the conversation there, though, didn't they? So that's, I was going to wrap it up, and then oh, don't want to leave this on this note. So yeah, thank you, troll. So my feet, okay. Luckily, this is I'm not wearing the socks that I'm not wearing the socks that I put the ink on, but I may have had a experience a couple of weeks ago, or I guess it's been a few months now. Oh, so more people want feet. Uh, Thank you. So I'll just close with this story. A couple of months now, I guess. I was going to ink up my senator fountain pen, my senator president, and so I was pushing down the piston to, then I was going to put it in the ink. Well, apparently I put it away fully inked because ink sprayed all over my foot, and I go around the house in socks, so yeah, I have a sock that is stained with splatters of whatever ink was in the senator president last. So okay, now the questions are getting strange, so I think that'll be a good time to close this off. So I want to thank everybody for watching, and hopefully these last few comments just end up disappearing. So thank you. That's a good note to leave it on, and might have to learn how to deal with people um, making interesting comments. So anyway, thank you, and yeah, I hope my friend is better soon. So I will talk. I will try to find out, and before next time, I'm going to learn how to deal with trolls. So thank you all for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye bye.